did we not see on the last Nintendo Direct who's going to be producing Mario RPG? We know that the game looks gorgeous. It's, oh my goodness. Made me come up out of my skin and then re-enter my skin of just how excited I was about Mario RPG being remade. But it's some questions that I want to know when it comes to Mario RPG. The first and foremost question I have to know is, who's going to be producing it? Is it going to be Nintendo, or is it going to be Square Enix? We know that originally in 1996, Square Enix, if I'm not mistaken, this was the last game on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or one of the last games on Super Nintendo that I think that was produced by Square Enix. We do know that Square Enix, at the time, it was Squaresoft, wrote this game, and that was the reason why it had such heavy tones when it came to the story. My only gripe that I could really say when it came to the story-wise and character-wise when it came to Mario RPG was the fact that Mario didn't talk, and I was just kind of still freshly off of Mario and the Super Show, where Mario actually had a personality, and you know, I don't know if they didn't want him to seem Italian on the game, or how would he talk? I don't know. What was the reasoning to just make him be that way? Because most of us aren't 5'3", Italian plumbers in their late 40s going on 50s with a pot belly. I mean, if you are, cool. Look, no shade. My grandfather did plumbing for a long many years, so there is, you know, nothing wrong with blue collar, blue chip work. Now, when you flinging in on them shrooms like Mario, then that's a whole different story, though. But the main thing I wanted to know was, is it going to be by Nintendo, or is it going to be by Square Enix? Now, if it's by Square Enix, then we still may never see Geno, Mallow, or Croco, who they seem like they really emphasized a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. Croco is the purple alligator that you've seen that was in like the trailer that we've seen like 3 or 4 times. The dude is like Seymour Guado. That dude always shows up with a chomp in his bag and ready for them hands, tails, feet, and toes. Like, I shouldn't be talking about I shouldn't be talking about nothing about toes right now. They also emphasized a lot on Geno as well as Mallow, and then Peach. The ones characters that we didn't see that much of was Bowser in the trailer as well as Mario in the trailer. So now if Nintendo is producing the game, then that means some kind of something happened between the sheets, or maybe not just between the sheets, but something happened with the agreement or licensing of the characters, namely Geno and Mallow and Croco and probably the Axum Rangers. And like, the game had a lot of great characters in it, from the villains and Booster, even Smithy, who's the main enemy of the game. So if Nintendo somehow found a way to buy those characters from Square Enix, or they gave them to them, or have some kind of contingent license, that means that those 2 spots or 2 to 3 spots that's left on Mario Kart World Tour, which I kind of grazed over because we got a lot of World Tour tracks, which aren't bad. I'm still waiting for Wario Stadium 64, but yeah, we could possibly see Geno, Mallow, and Croco in Mario Kart. Now, I'm not gonna get too crazy because, I mean, honestly, to be truthful, that's probably not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I'm just wishful thinking, hopeful thinking, just like I was when it came to Geno being in Smash Brothers. Even though, and they teased us again because they put their full rendered body, but we got no head. I had to mod my OG Switch after it damn near died. Thanks a lot, Triangle Strategy. That's one of my favorite Switch games, and it damn near killed my Switch. Was sounding like a vacuum, and it was pushing out heat like an LA summer. So that's hot. That's hot. So I'm really hoping and praying to Rosalina that Nintendo can own this finally, so then we can have Gino, Mallow, and some other characters actually in the Mario universe. Maybe even kind of like how the whole Ubisoft, licensing is, where they keep on using the rabbits, which Gino and the Square Enix entities are a lot better than the Ubisoft ones. I don't want to offend nobody, but I'm just saying. The second thing I have to know is, are we gonna have voice acting? Because I ain't see nobody talk. And Bowser got a lot of dialogue, as well as Peach got a lot of dialogue within this story. And Gino and Mallow talk a lot too. The game talks a lot. And I want to see if it has actual dialogue, because it should. One of the things that killed Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition for me, was the fact that, yeah, it had 40 characters. Yeah, it didn't, it was a lot to be said or talked with. But Live Alive had, or Live Alive, it had fully automated voice acting. And some people talk about how bad the voice acting was. I personally liked it. I personally would take shitty voice acting over no voice acting at all. I'm looking at you, Pokemans, and I said Pokemans. I'm looking at you. I still never forget when Sword and Shield dropped and I was streaming it. I'm sitting there checking my audio because it just felt like that opening scene should have been the opening scene where the dude was talking and ushering the Pokemon. That's kind of what threw me away from the whole freaking thing in the first place, because I was like, do I really want to play Pokemon the same game that I played before? I actually passed on Scarlet and Violet, which I will probably get this year when it drops down, because unfortunately it's just the same game that, it had been. And I'm very excited to see a new group of people play Mario RPG and experience what I experienced is going to be stronger, faster, better looking. I've heard people saying that they've seen where you're not able to use the Geno World, which does the 9,999 hits when you time it right on the back. But I guess they were looking at the trailer a lot more than I was, or they missed something. I didn't see the fact, because they didn't show that we didn't even see no voices or hear any voices. So I don't know exactly if that's going to be in there or how the full mechanics of the game is going to be when it comes to that aspect. But the main things I want to know, who licensing it or producing it, rather. I keep saying licensing it, but that's, producing it. And are we going to have some voice acting? Also, I have a theory, a Mario theory. And that theory is, Gino talks about being sent to this mission from like a goddess or an entity. I don't know if he directly said a goddess, but he said like something higher up, which I'm assuming like as a goddess. I think he might have said a goddess. I think that could be Rosalina. Or a way to fit this into the Nintendo lore is when the Star Road Smithy, which is the main enemy of on Mario RPG, drops down Exum, the giant sword that wrecks Bowser's castle. He came from space, and that's one of the reasons I love space, y'all. Space is endless, and anything can happen in space. And Gino, who's a Star Warrior, his name is... You can't spell it. That's his name. You gotta do it just like that, especially with the end part. That dude came down to be the defender, or grab Mario and then start a group to defend and restore the Star Road, which gave wishes to basically everybody. So he got his orders from somebody, and my theory upon theories is the fact that that's what he would do. I actually had like my own little fan game. It was just called Geno RPG, and what that game was basically that. We got a chance to see Mario and Peach and the rest of everybody have their little, cake down on Earth. But then at the aftermath of Mario RPG, Geno goes up to the heavens or to space, and that's where he's introduced and talked to, or not introduced, but he's getting his missions and different things from Rosalina, who's kind of like, up there with all the little starries and, you know, them folks. What are they called again? I forgot what the stars are called. Luma. With Luma and the rest of the gang. And she has certain warriors and sends down different things. And that story was going to take place where it was going to be like called Mario RPG The Clone Capers. And then I was going to say something like where Luigi was going to be, you know, Waluigi's. They never talked about Waluigi, creation of Waluigi. And Waluigi was going to stem from the hate or the evil or whatever that Luigi had, you know, stored away in his heart, the jealousy of Mario. I'm not saying Luigi was jealous, but, you know, he set that shit away. Like, he wasn't getting no play from Peach. He ain't getting, well, Mario ain't getting no play from Peach either. That's all Bowser. But he ain't getting no play. So I was going to have it in the aspect where that bothered him, but he pushed it to the side, and that's one of those things that created a Waluigi. And Waluigi was going to be going around capturing certain people like Mario and stuff, and then starting, like, making an evil Mario and different things. And you, as Gino, Wario, Daisy, and some other characters were going to go around and, like, uncover the real truth, and that Mario and the rest of them weren't as bad as that was my own little theory. Me talking about it right there. Nintendo, don't come after me. Please leave me alone. I don't want no trouble. I like y'all games. I know I said that I modded a Switch, but that was a long time. That was a long time ago, right? It was a long time ago, right? But I'm excited about this game. I really want to see whether it has voice acting or not, or who producing it. Just the fact to be able to see these characters that I grew up with, that I fell in love with in my youth, are back, and that so many people can now actually play the game that, well, I loved. Y'all can play it now. I do want to know if they aren't producing it. I'm talking about Squaresoft. Are they going to allow Nintendo to use Quartz, who had the Earth, Wind, Water, and Fire gem, and was one of the toughest bosses? He was harder than Smithy. In the game, in Monsters Village, I wonder if they're going to be able to use the Final Fantasy theme music. Are they going to use Final Fantasy? Either way, look, November can't get here fast enough. That's definitely going to be a game for the archives, y'all. Definitely a game for the archives. This time, I wasn't being legit or for real with myself either, because that was a part of me. And even though I was doing it in secret. And then it just hit me.
And that's when it hit me. And that's when I became a geek. Finally, the sleeper has awakened. I am the prince of all geeks once again.